and I just started the recording. And what we're going to be doing this morning is looking at both Forex and futures. I will be using binary options, but I'm also going to show you how you could trade futures or Forex. I have modified the trend so that it is more evident when you have an entry and when you have an exit. Okay, so this is the euro dollar 15 minutes Forex chart, and I'm just going to blow it up a little bit so that y'all can see it a little better. And you can see that you have a red dot here. That indicates a short position. You also see that you have these little blue dashes, okay? And that represents a stop. So in other words, if you were in this particular trade, you would be using the blue mark as a stop once you are, quote, in the money. Okay, so basically you would have come out on this bar. Here you have another red dot. Again, you have a new entry. You can see you just started getting the blue mark to start using a stop on this one. Okay, so basically what it's doing is offsetting the high by just a little bit, so you'll know, okay, if I'm in the Forex side of this market, I would be using this as a stop. Does everyone understand that? Yes, no, maybe. Now, if you are trading the binary options, then you do not necessarily need to use that stop because you lock in your risk on entry. So for example, I did 2 out of the money binaries on the euro dollar for a 9 a.m. expiration, which is about 57 minutes from now. I could have also done an at the money, and then I did 2 out of the money, okay? So in this case, I'm up on both of these, independent where it goes, whether I would stay with this trade or not, because at this point, I'm not going to let it go against me. Do y'all understand that? Now, this is a demo account, just in case you didn't notice the green bar that says demo. This is a demo account. I will not trade my live account in this room because it's educational, okay? Is this new? Well, I've had it for the binary side just to show me where the entry was, Sashi. And I think I'm actually going to incorporate it into the trend ATR for everyone, only because I think it just makes it more evident this is where Gail would enter, or this is where Gail would have her stop. Does that make sense, Sashi? From the training perspective, I think it helps a lot. Well, basically, yeah, and I think this just clarifies where your entry was. If you get a red dot, that's saying short. Okay. If you're seeing the blue line and you have profits, this is where you need to come out, at the blue line. Some people just need to see these red dots. You know, I've colored the price bar white if it gets close enough to the ATR, but, you know, people like to see the little dots that says, hey, this is an entry potentially here. Does that help explain it, Sashi? But it also helps with, for example, if you want to say, okay, where would my entry have been on the 1440? Well, it very specifically highlights this would have been your entry. Okay. Yeah, I guess it just kind of pops out at you now. If you wanted to do the 720, where would my entry have been? Well, you had an entry here, and you would have come out on this bar, and then you had an entry here. Okay? So it just makes it, in my opinion, more evident, hey, you do have an entry here. Are you paying attention? You know, to me, anytime this price bar gets white, I'm already looking for an entry. Okay? And to me, this is always a potential entry because I'm still going to check my other indicators. Yeah, that's all I'm doing. No, you do not have the dots yet, Keith. I'm going to incorporate them in to the indicator. And I'm probably going to give you, you know, a toggle so you can put them on or take them off, whichever one you want. Well, actually, Sashi, when you buy the package, you get the updates included for 1 year. Yeah, I'll revise the documentation to include it. Anytime you buy either the silver or the diamond package, you get access to all of the updates and all of the webinars that I do for a full 12 months. I do think that traders need extra support when they first buy the indicators, and that's why I do that. Okay, so let's go back to this one. You know, I would be anticipating that this would come down to the, and this is the S3 line, guys, at 1141. You can also see, you know, over on the British pound dollar, you did not get close enough to this ATR to actually take that trade. But you did have hidden divergence. And this is something, you know, you would have to learn to do this, to have taken that entry. Because from here to here, do you see how price is making lower highs? And do you see how the stochastics is making higher highs? That is classic hidden divergence. You also had it over here on the euro. You are making lower highs, but you made higher highs in the stochastics. Yeah, it typically does not hold me back if I'm using a 2-hour binary, Keith. If I'm going into this, you know, in the Forex market, then yeah. Yeah, the buy signal is blue. We had one, I believe on the USD. No, I was thinking it gave you a blue dot here, but it didn't. But, you know, to me, this would have been a great entry point last night. Let me see if I can find one. And I can't find one on that one. Let's see. Ah. I don't have any of them standing out at me at the moment. It has to close right on that ATR to actually give you the buy signal, and I'm not seeing any that did. which is why you're not seeing any blue dots. But yeah, the long side would be blue. Yes, it will. I just have to get my programmer to program it in. It's pretty simplistic though. And this is really what the strategy uses, pretty much as a trail-in stop, the aggressive stop. For those that know the strategy, it uses the same concept. The one thing that I would be monitoring right now on the euro dollar is if this makes a higher low and, you know, it makes a lower low in the stochastics, that would probably bring me out if it did not violate the stop first. We do have the British pound yen as well as the euro yen. I'm just not liking anything I see on that at the moment. We don't have any market reports this morning. And looking over at the USDJPY, do you see how this is making higher highs, but it's also making higher highs in the stochastics? That's usually indicative that that market will continue up normally. But you also have a very overbought market because it's trading above the S3. For me, it would need to test this for me to say, hey, I want to enter this market. In other words, I want to make sure that it's actually going to support price before I actually go into it. Now, the other thing, and we do have this variation in NinjaTrader, it's just in a market analyzer, not a radar screen. But do you see how all of these are highlighted price at ATR, price at ATR, price at ATR? These are telling you you have a potential entry point. Now, the dots are just additional benefits, okay? It's, you know, telling you you really need to look at this market if you see a blue dot. For example, here, you've got the red dot. I mean, you definitely have an entry here. Pay attention. Does everybody understand that? I mean, if you miss an entry, you know, I have given you everything possible to say, hey, here's an entry. You know, if you're missing them, then you're not using your radar screen or your market analyzer, because it really is telling you that there's entries here. In this one, you know, you could actually do a binary option, but it needs to be a 2-hour binary option because you do have support immediately under price, okay? because there is a support area, which is an ATR on both the 45 and the 180, it may have trouble breaking this area, okay? A 2-hour binary on the Dow is available every 12 points from price, but they don't begin until 8 o'clock. So this signal actually came in right at 8 o'clock. So you could go over and look at the 2-hour binaries, and I'll show you this real quick. You go to the Wall Street, and I've got to refresh it first. You go to the Wall Street, and you would go to the 8 to 10 a.m. I prefer only to have 1 hour in this binary option. That would be ideal for me. Sometimes I don't get my ideal environment. So let me expand these. All right, do you see now how you have 167? The next one is 155. This is what I mean by there is a binary option every 12 points. Okay? So the last one was at 167, and then you have 155. And this is where you have the ATR at 143. In this case, if you wanted this to move 2 strike prices in your favor, which is generally what you need, you're going to have to do the 18167, and it's got about $50 of risk at the moment. Do y'all see that? Are you willing to risk 50 to make 50? And that's a decision that you have to make. If you wanted to go in the money, you would use the 18,179. I don't do those. There's too many opportunities outside of that. You will have the market opening at 9:30 for this one. That could push it in your direction. And if you do the 18,155, it's got lower risk, okay? But you're not giving it the 2 strike prices to move in your direction. And what I mean by that is you have a strike at 18,143, you have 18,131. Go back to your chart, your line that may support price is at 143. And right here where it says 49, that's actually telling you what your profit potential is. And this is one where you could actually say, okay, I may go into this for $52, okay, but I'm not going to allow that to go $52 against me. In that case, you would have to be watching it so that it would not do that. And right now, there's a 5% chance that it will close above 18,167. In other words, 5% more traders believe it's going to be above 18,167 by 10 o'clock. The reason that I like to have 1 hour here is because it changes quicker, so it goes in profit quicker. That's actually called the gamma. It's a combination of gamma and theta. This is the euro dollar that I did earlier to show y'all. Do you see how the strike is now moving? This is one strike price in our favor for this one at 1164, okay? Now, if it comes down below here, but you can see that pretty much there's not a lot of difference between the profits here because the gamma is working on the 1160 more than the 1164. It's the best way I know to explain it for you. Do y'all understand that? Now, the one that I would take profits on quicker would be the one at 1160. And the reason is I did not spend as much on this one, but this one is closer to price. So I'm more likely to lose profits on this one versus this one. And the 1160 I spent right at about $35 on versus almost $50 on 1164. Does everybody understand that? And a lot of people will take this profit first. They need to take this profit first because this is the one that will go against you quicker. And why did it move down so strong? Because you had that hidden divergence there. This is really kind of showing you the power of the hidden divergence. Now you can also put in a profit target. In this case, we could put in a profit target of 25. Okay, and then on this one, we could put in a profit target of 15. Well, let's do 10. Now, how do you know you have okay, how do you know you have profit targets? Because you have this gray box here, okay? I have mine set up where I can just click on working orders and it shows me where the profit targets are. Now, a common misconception when trading the binary options is that you're looking at the buy for your profit target. Most people will start looking at the sell because, of course, they sold it. They're looking at the buy because in order to get out of this, you need a buyer that is willing to pay $25 on that binary option, okay? It truly is for every buyer, there's a seller concept. Now this is the one that we took, and you can clearly see that there was divergence there, okay? It's very, very evident that there was hidden divergence on that. Do you need to know how to identify that? Yes. And the only way you can do that is by drawing these lines. The fact that it had already tested this pivot line, icing on the cake, okay? The fact that the ATR added support, icing on the cake, okay? This volume divergence here, icing on the cake. And again, if you knew how to spot hidden divergence, this pretty much had the same setup over here on the British pound. You could be trading that one as well. go back and look at this one. Let's go see what the ES is doing. You can see it's price at CD. This is congestion dot. And it's at the ATR on 3 different time frames. So you've got it at the ATR on the 45-minute, at the close enough to the ATR on the 12-minute, close enough to the ATR on the 3-minute. Okay? If you're going short on the ES, you probably picked a bad time to do it. I would want to see this violated or broken before you ever think about going short on that one. On the NASDAQ, you do have an area that's going to resist price above you on the 180, but you have an ATR below you over here. In other words, it's moving in an area of congestion. Could you do a 2-hour binary on this? Sure. Okay. But I would not do anything other than a 2-hour binary on this, because you do have an area that may support price down here. That's at about 48.50. This one is about 48.68. So you're going to have to make sure you got 2 strike prices to move in your direction before you take that binary option. Okay? Let's go and see what crude is doing. Again, you've got crude in a congestion pattern on the 12-minute. You have crude in a congestion on the 45-minute. These are not times that you want to trade crude, okay? You've got 2 time frames showing you that you have congestion there. Could you have traded it to the upside here? Yes. You know, but right now this is telling you you probably want to do a short. You know, again, not good times to trade on those. Gold is probably going to have at least a small retracement. And the reason that I say that is because you've got the 3-minute and you've got the ADX at 89. Okay. So I would be anticipating at least a retracement on this 3-minute, and I would not enter until that happens. Now, if you were watching the charts at 7 o'clock this morning, you had a great entry right up here at the ATR. But again, this is where you don't have the binaries available until after 8 o'clock. All right, on the euro dollar, we just, we're taking out on the profit target at 25. And this one has not made it there yet. It's about $2 of difference. But do you see how it came down here to 1156? But right now you've got the theta working for you. That's the reason we were able to exit that other one. And if you notice, there's not going to be a lot of difference on these as far as profit goes. The biggest difference on those was actually the risk. Remember this one down here at 1160, I was only risking about $35 on. This one I was risking 50. They're both making the same amount of money. The difference was the risk that I chose for those. Okay. Now the USDJPY, the euro dollar, those are the ones you want to do those on, because the strike width is 4 pips. Let's go back to the Dow and see what it's doing. The only one that, and again, you're going to have issues with the 18,143, and that's the only one I would actually be willing to do because it has very low risk on it, about $35. That's the only one that I would be willing to do on this. And I'll just go ahead and enter that. You do have a potential of making the money on this. The only thing is you're not going to make full profit potential unless it comes down here and breaks through this ATR. Do y'all understand that? And this is one you would have to watch very closely, because if it hits right here at 143 and it starts bouncing, you want to get out of it. And I really don't like what that's doing right now. And 30 minutes is enough time for this to come back up here. So in this case, let's say that I don't like what it's doing. I want to get out of this. Your best exit is to click on this gray box and then highlight the offer. Do you see how it changed the price down here? And amend your order. That gets you out of it. Now on this one, we were risking 35. Probably a little bit more than 35, I think. Yeah, it was about 37 actually. So on this one, you could go ahead and set a profit target. If you want to make 100% return, that would be 63 minus 37. You have to go down, so you want a profit target at 26. So if you come in here and type in, I'm going to put 25, nice even number, and just place order. Now you can see that you have a profit target there as well. And this is one I would definitely keep an eye on, because I do not like the fact that it has an ATR sitting right below where our strike price is, or right at our strike price. And again, you know, every one of these that has price at ATR, you have a potential set up on. Every one of them. And this is why, you know, there's a lot of potentials here. Let's say that this gets down here to 18,139. It's a 45-minute chart. I would be looking to do a daily to the upside. Why? Because the congestion dot also offers support. Okay? It can offer resistance just like it did up here, just like it did over here. Okay? It offered support here. So that this indicates, okay, it's probably going to go back and test the ATR. Why? Because every time it approaches an ATR, if it breaks through, it will come back and test the ATR to make sure that it's actually going to offer support, or it's actually going to offer resistance. Those are our points of entry. Everybody understand that? ATR is average true range. And what it does is it takes the average from high to low and averages it out, Brian. If you were in the 12-minute on the futures, then you are using this small little blue mark here as a stop. Okay? So your stop currently is at 18,163. Does everybody understand that? So regardless of whether you're trading binary options or you're trading futures or you're trading Forex, you can now say, okay, I'm in profit and I'm setting my stop at 18,163. Because there's a blue mark on the chart right there. Do you see this little blue mark here? That indicates where your stop should be if you're trading futures. It's something that I've been working on. So visually, clients would know this would be your stop in a downtrend. It just makes it visually more understandable visually for traders. Now, I do use the previous bar because this one is updating intra-bar. So, for example, this bar ends at 848. Okay, so on the next bar, I would be using this one at 18,160. It's pulling your stop down 3 ticks. No, I have not sent that out to anybody yet, Larry. I like to watch it on the live edge to make sure it's working right. It'll probably be available next week, Larry, for TradeStation. Oh, let's Now on the USDJPY, if this comes back to the ATR, you would have to read the volume. Do you see how this is now going against us? We could have lost all of our profits. Do y'all see that? It'll probably take my programmer about 2 days, Sashi. And I'm only doing it for NinjaTrader 7. I'm not doing it for NinjaTrader 8 yet. NinjaTrader 8 is still in beta, and I want a stable version before I do the NinjaTrader tools. Because otherwise we just have to update them a lot. the range on crude between 48.33 and 48.66 is just not enough to actually give you profits right now. If you believe that crude is going to go up, you could do a binary to, and I would do a daily on crude, because what you were looking for is something that says, okay, for the day, not just a short period of time, but for the day, I think crude is going to be above a certain price. And this is where you could buy 49 for 32. You know, 32 to me is not bad, or 32.50 for a daily. Now, this does close at 2:30 in the afternoon, but this one is going to change dramatically if that does go above 49, okay? Just to let you know. But to do that, again, it will have to clear 48.66 and 48.65. You know, am I willing to risk $32? Sure. Does everybody understand that? Am I willing to risk $60? No, I don't do those types of binary options. Will the probabilities be with you? Yes, they will. To me, it's a matter of risk. Now, see, this one expires on the Euro US dollar in 45 minutes. Do you see how it went against us? I would not have given back that profit, okay? If you notice over on the British pound dollar, you're getting the red dot. That's giving you a heads up. This is now close enough to potentially take a trade. Do y'all see that? But when you look down at your volume, buyers really came in on that bar. Don't even think about it. Buyers came in on that bar. Do you really want to go short? Hello? Don't do that. All right, I'm going to go take a quick break while we're waiting on another trade, and I'll be back in just a moment. Well, I was speaking. Could nobody hear me? That would be normal for me. Okay. Let's go back to the Dow then. Keith, that's a good spread on crude. I don't have it available on the demo. Yeah. On this one, do y'all see how the sellers just stepped in and the price bar is confirming it? I would not want to be long on this bar. This is telling me that sellers are stepping in on that bar. I would not want to be long. Same thing, you know, on the NASDAQ, I would expect them to come down and try to test this pivot line at 4863.5. You see the volume is clearly indicating that sellers are stepping in on that bar. Okay. Same thing on the ES. You know, sellers are stepping in. Now this has another 5 minutes to completion, but the way that stands right now, I would not want to be long. On crude, I would anticipate this to go up and actually test the pivot line that's up there. I think it's at 48.19. I'll have to shrink it down some. You've got a pivot line at 49.19. Now they may come down and test this ATR again, but remember we're out for the day, so they have until 2:30. Okay. The price bar right now is not confirming that sellers are taking control of that bar, so I wouldn't pay attention to that one. You're also getting an increase in buyers over on the 45-minute. Then on gold, you're probably going to get a retracement on gold. I would not be entering that yet. And I want to plot 7 because I want to see the S3 line. And you can see it's at the S3 line now. If it breaks below that S3, wait for it to retest it before you enter. Because the S3 line, if they're able to break through that line, then chances are they're going to trend down for the day. But again, you would want to make sure that it acts as resistance before you jump into that market. And this is another one where when you see these white plus signs, that's telling you look for an entry, okay? It was actually confirmed on this bar that it was going down. In my opinion, you came out on this bar because it went back to, take that off a minute. It went back to 1297.8. Do you see that little blue mark there? That would have said, okay, it's time to come out. Does everybody understand that? And that's if you're already in it and if you're in profits, okay? Visually, it just makes it much easier to see. Let's go back. Now, this is one, you're actually seeing sellers controlling that bar. This is where you could come over to the Forex binaries, 10 a.m. and see what you have available. These are every 4 pips. Okay. So you could actually get, right now it's trading at 102.50. You could actually get 102.54 for $38. Because you do have a market opening, you would want to put a profit target on that. Since it is the U.S. market opening and we are long, we need to put it above where our entry was. So I put a profit target at 90. Now that means it's going to have to go at least 2 strike prices in my favor. So in other words, I need this to get to 102.62 to really make my profit target. Then it's dependent on how quickly does it happen. Is it right before expiration, in which case, you know, it would be 1 strike price in my favor would do it. Okay? So you have the price component, but you also have the time component. And let's see if we have any spreads that are available, and I'll show you how to do spreads real quick. We're going to do 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And no, they're not showing up for me for some reason. Let's do 9 to 11. No, I'm having trouble with the spreads coming up, so I'm not going to worry about those. If you were short on the future side, you came out when it touched this line, which is pretty much this bar. On this one, we are at 54. I am not liking the euro or the British pound, and the reason is you pretty much made an equal low here, maybe slightly lower. But if you're looking at the stochastics, do you see how you made that higher low? That's usually indicative that this is going to go up. Okay, you have the same scenario over on the euro. Basically, you made a higher low, and over here you made a lower low. This indicates that it actually should go up, not down. Not liking that one. On the USDJPY, I would like to see the current bar close above the high of the previous bar. In other words, this current bar, I would like to see it close above 102.49, okay? 102.50, or even the S3 line at 53, 51. Yeah, it's 51, right at 52, would be even better. On the Dow, remember we're out on the Dow at 143, I believe it was, right here. Really need to see a lot of selling come in. We're 2 strike prices out. We need to see this selling coming in. It's not coming in right now. Then on crude, and the only reason this is slower than normal is because of TradeStation. That, and I'm running off of a laptop, so it makes it a little bit slower. Well, that's probably why I don't have prices on it too, Keith, because there's no action in it. Now, again, you know, just getting to our strike price gives us profit. I actually wanted it to go up to 102.62. Okay. This is my target area on that one. In other words, if I get here, I've probably made my profit target. Okay. But I need it to really push up and get above that line. On crude, I'm out for the day at 49. So that one is just one I would watch for the remainder of the day. Okay. And let's take all that junk off. And I really don't like what's happening on the Dow. You can see that we're making lower lows in price, higher lows in the stochastics. It's usually not a good sign. And this is where, you know, if this pattern holds, I'm going to exit that trade. Now, don't always manage it in the room because I'm in demo, but I'm trying to show y'all how to do it as well. And, you know, this is where you come over and you look at your chart if you have TradeStation or NinjaTrader. You know, you had sellers take control here, okay? But the one thing that should stand out at you is that while this is making lower lows, The stochastics is not. Okay? That is a really, really bad sign for a short trade. And this is where I would come in. And again, you have to go into the gray box to do this. And we are short, so I want to go ahead and buy it back. And I'm out of that one. I do not like that pattern that's developing. It could change, but there's so many other good trades that we could have. I don't want that one. Do y'all understand that? And I did limit my risk on entry, but it doesn't mean that I stop there. I still monitor my trades. Let's go look at gold. And this is where I would be anticipating gold to go up. And I don't trade gold a lot, but I'm going to show you what I would do on it. And this is where I think gold's going to go up. The problem is I'm not seeing any strike prices that we could get. 1306 for $4 is the only one. In other words, this is going to have to move 120 ticks at the open. We could go into the 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and see if they have something available, because gold can move 120 ticks, but that would not be the norm. I would be more comfortable with the 1295. And see if it goes down a little bit first. What I would do is just come in here and put a $40 price on it. If it pops down to $40, it would put you in the market. Now, do you see how this is gray? That just tells me the order has not been filled yet. Not sure if it would have any spreads on it. No. Now you can see that I just got filled at $40. That's another way that you can control your risk. I'm willing to spend $40 on this trade. Okay, so I put in a price at $40. Again, you go ahead and set your profit target. Let's put it at 85. Place order. So now we're just going to wait for the market opening, and then we'll see what happens, okay? I want to see what the USDJPY is doing. Now, do you see how this closed above the high of this bar? That's exactly what I wanted it to do. Okay. So far, this one is behaving. Okay. That's what I call it. They're behaving. And this one, it may continue down, at the market opening. That's one thing about the market opening. It will do what it wants to do. They could push it down and then push it right back up. It would not be unusual. We'll just have to wait and see. Let's go see what the Dow is doing. Do you see how noticing that pattern kept us from losing a full loss on gold? That's why we pay attention to these patterns. Let's go see how crude is doing. I think it's doing pretty well. And remember, on crude, we are at 49 and that's on a daily. That was just a cheap binary on a daily. And it's already above that area now. And again, this is one that we got for 32.50. Okay. As long as it stays above the 49 area, we will be doing good. And remember, crude closes at 2:30. Okay. You really have to know that to trade crude on the binaries because it closes early. We don't have until 4:15 for this one. And again, do you see how you were white on the price bars? This is the area that I'm looking for an entry. If you're trading crude on the futures, your entry was at 724 and price was at 48.41. Okay. Go look. at the USDJPY. I do not want this price to stop here. Okay. We have had hidden divergence on the lows. So this should actually continue up. Okay. And I'm going to mark that for you. Higher lows. Repetition does wonders for us. And lower lows. Okay, this is hidden divergence. Price is going in one direction. Stochastics is going in the opposite direction. Okay, that means it should move up in our direction. It does not guarantee it, though. Any questions so far this morning, guys? We do have the market opening in 3 minutes. We'll see what happens then. You probably are going to get some retracement on crude. That's what I would anticipate. Am I going to be real paranoid over it? No. Only because, you know, we're out on this until 2 o'clock this afternoon. We may get a magenta peak. It may pull back to probably around 48.80 to 48.60, but then continue in our direction. So the crude one I would not be obsessive about right now. The USDJPY, yes, I don't like what it's doing right now. And this is typically when I'll say, okay, I'll give it one more bar, you know, but you're going to have time decay kick in on this too. So this one is either going to go in our direction or not. Let's go back and look at the Dow. See how you have this congestion dot up here? This is typically when it's going to come back and test that ATR. Not a great place for an entry. And it's kicking off. Now this bar is not going to end until 9:36. You don't want to see sellers come in on that bar. And do y'all see how this is acting right now? This is where it's like, don't really like what it's doing. And this one is going to expire in 26 minutes. That's the reason this one is my priority. Now, I already know something is wrong because this was a reversal bar. It was confirmed on this bar, and we have not made a new high. That's bad. Price is telling you it's not acting as you anticipate. We need to see buyers really start stepping in, confirmed on the price bar. You're not seeing it right now. We really need this to get up to 58. Need to see buyers coming in. Not seeing it right now on the price bar. Needs to go up more. And we're getting very close to the expiration. And this is where I just say no. I don't like what it's doing. It should not be doing that. Okay. So I'm just going to exit the position. Do y'all see that? I'm not going to take a full loss on that one. Now let's go and let's see what gold is doing because we're in that one. And so far it's still moving down. Now remember, we're out until 11 o'clock on that one. Still seeing a lot of divergence here, but you know, you've got a strong downtrend. So you're fighting the downtrend on this one. Let's go have a look at crude. Crude is probably going to retrace some, but again, this one we're out for the duration of the day. So not too worried about that one. Now this looks like sellers came in. Actually, it was just profit taking because when you look at this bar, you can see that it did not close on the low. So it's probably going to go up to 18,276. Could you do a trade on that? Sure. Let's refresh this one. Let's go to indices, Dow. We would go to 9 to 11 a.m. Now, would I enter right now, right in the middle of nowhere? No, I would not. At a bare minimum, let me pull this one off again. Bare minimum, I would wait for a retracement at least on the 3-minute. Okay. Get a retracement on the 3-minute back to 18,179. Then I would be looking to enter. You need at least 1 hour on the binary to do that. And this is just so you don't enter in the middle of nowhere. You know, if it comes back to 18,180-ish, then you would want to take a long position. Let's go see if the NQ has anything. No retracement there yet. You should be getting one in. It's just not there yet. Let's look at the ES. The ES is closer to a retracement. Not quite there yet. So we'll just wait on these. And if you find yourself entering when the stochastics is right at 80 or right at 20, usually those are bad entries. Let's go see what we have over here. And there's no clear entries on any of these, so we're not doing those. Gold on the weeklies, let me look. There's no hidden divergence there. This was your last low. You're making a new low now. So there's no hidden divergence there, Sashi. You're probably using this one, Sashi. Yeah, but that would be the wrong low to use. You're measuring these lows right here as it's coming back. And it's probably going to come down to 1262 for this week, okay? And then it will go back up. But right now, just using the immediate lows, you're doing from here to here. The stochastics is doing exactly what it would anticipate doing. It's making lower lows. And normally you want to see some type of reversal bar forming, and right now there's no indication of that. And do you see on this one, Sashi? Do you see how you just had this magenta bars here? It's probably going to come to 1178, maybe 1228, somewhere around in there, because it's coming back to the ATR is what it's doing on the monthly. That's the magenta peak phenomenon. I guess it's the best way to explain it. See how you got the red dot up on the 1440 right here? That was a good indication that gold was coming down. The fact that these congestion dots were lower than these congestion dots, all of it indicating exactly the same thing, really. Yeah, it's the same concepts that I trade on the 12-minute. You trade off of the 1440, the 720, the weekly, the monthly. It doesn't matter. It's just, what time frame trader are you? I'm more of a 12-minute trader right now because the markets are so freaking slow. We're getting, one good day out of the week to trade, and that's it. If you missed it, you missed it. It is in the detailed documentation. I even include a flow chart, Sashi, that kind of takes you through every trade setup. From your higher time frames all the way down to your lower time frames. And it's, a flow chart. Okay, this is what I'm looking at. These are the trade setups. Have I traded them on stocks? Yeah, I have. I do very limited stock trading, and this just being totally honest with you. I find that I typically forget that I'm in a trade because I'm doing so many other things. But Duke Energy is one that I typically will trade, just because it's my way of getting back whatever I pay for power. I know that sounds weird. Let me. Okay, do you see Duke Energy, how it came back to these congestion dots? Okay. Great place to be going short. I'm waiting for a retracement because I want to go long on it. You also see, Amazon, another one I like to trade. You can see it came back to these congestion dots, which, provided great support for price to go up. Now I think we're due for a pullback on Amazon. But, it's the idea of support and resistance is going to work no matter what you put it on. There's just certain stocks that I will trade, and typically it's whatever my payout goes to. I pay Duke Energy a lot of money, so I trade Duke Energy. Amazon, same thing. I buy everything off of Amazon, so I trade it. It's just my way of getting back what I'm paying. A weird way to look at it, but that's what I do. Because the universe of stocks is so massive. It's like, okay, which one do I choose? Well, my way of choosing is, okay, who do I pay every month? Those are the ones I'm going to trade. Verizon, Amazon, Duke Energy, not as much Time Warner anymore. I used to trade Time Warner a lot, but I've really kind of cut Time Warner out of my budget, except for my internet connection. It's just my way of saying, okay, I don't mind paying Duke Energy because I'm making money off of them. It's just a mind game for me. I'll pay you, but I'm going to get it back somehow. So, um, give me just a minute, Sashi, and I'm going to try to pull up the documentation again. Oh, there we go. I know I have it, on the website. Oh, let's see. That's not what I wanted. This is the flow chart that I'm talking about, Sashi, and some of it's not going to make sense to you because you don't know the trade setups, but, you know, the first question you say, am I okay to trade today, is either yes or no. If the answer is yes, then you mark your lines on your chart for your market reports. You add the lines for the congestion dots. You know, if you have any potential magenta peaks, then you go to the Buddha trade setup. If you have any potential magenta peaks on the 3-minute, you go to the Duke. Now, you could also put a 180 here. You could put a 1440. It doesn't matter. Okay? And then, you know, I tell you, check these on your higher time frames. Okay? This is the Buddha process. This is the Duke. This is your trade management. So you entered the trade. You have early exit criteria, you have stop criteria, and you have profit target criteria. You know, warning signs. If you're in a trade and this occurs, okay, you know, this is how you manage your trade. This is screaming, hey, this is a warning sign. You might want to get out of your trade. Pretty much like I've been doing this morning. You know, and all of this is actually available on the website. I have an extensive library of videos that train you. No, I only do one of these a week, Marv. The rest of the time I'm in a Skype room with binary options and the traders. If you purchase, I believe, the silver or the platinum package, you get access to the Skype room, but I don't do daily trading room. You know, we talk about things that are happening in the market there. If you have questions, I'm there available typically to answer your questions, but not locking myself into a trading room every single day. Just not me. It did go back up. I wasn't willing to take a full loss on that one, though. Well, thank you, Marv. This chart here is showing you that gold is really overextended to the downside. Now remember, we're out on that one until 11 o'clock. Could it potentially come above? I believe it was $12.95. Still has potential. We're dealing with gold. Go back. I'm not seeing any clear pictures on this. I will say this, the binaries are on the euro dollar because they're only 4 ticks. Pretty reasonable to trade on these. And again, dadgummit, I hate it when it does that. Don't do that one. So currently you're trading at 11.57. Could the euro move down at least 7 pips before 11 o'clock? Sure. You know, it could do that. For 35.50 you could actually enter if working orders. Well, there it goes. Talk about a lag. And again, I immediately always set a profit target on these. Now, what my anticipation would be is that it would take out this previous low at 11.50. To actually get my profit target, I need it to go lower, okay? That would be my anticipation. So I want it to come below 11.41. And again, this is where it gets into this strike width. You know, 4 pips on the euro dollar is not that much movement, okay? You can pretty much get that easily. And I pretty much stick with the 1 hour expirations. With a 1 hour expiration, if you get 4 bars in your favor, you typically get your profit target. Go back and let's look at the Dow. Let's see, I'm not seeing a retracement that makes me say, oh, I want to jump in this. I want a retracement first. Let's see if the ES, I think it was closer to a retracement. It did come down to the pivot line. I would wait for this bar to finish before I actually tried to go in it. I would not want it to close below that pivot line. Now, there's two things that could hold price up right now. It's the pivot line and it's the ATR. Okay? So I would wait to make sure that we see support before you actually go into this one. It's just not ready yet. The only one that I would consider taking would be at 57. And there's a question about whether I would go out on 11 a.m. or the noon. And it's really dependent on what this bar does, because if the pivot line is not offering support, I would not go in this. I need to see the pivot line offering support. You know, it could be something as simple as, okay, let me see buyers stepping in, you know. Now, I'll show you. I've got them both pulled up here. So this one has 50 minutes, but it's going to have to move, you know, 2 points as it stands right now. So you could get that one for $34. And if it does move up, you could potentially make a profit. For an extra $3 or $4, you could go out until noon. Okay? To me, that would make more sense because it might take that long. Again, are you seeing support at the moment? No, which is why I'm holding off on it. It may actually come all the way down to 2152 where this ATR is. Do y'all see that? I wouldn't want to be up at 2157 when the support's not going to be found until 2152. And ironically, this is typical movement for us lately on the indices, which is why I'm not trading a lot of futures right now, because there's just not enough movement there. On the binaries, I can make money on this. On futures, you know, this is hard to make money on. Do you see how this is not offering support? That's why I was waiting. You want to see that support there. Let's go back and see what the euro's doing. We still need it to move down to 1141. It's got to do it in the next 47 minutes. Now, technically, we just need it to be below 50 on the binary. But I know if it goes down to 41, I've made my profit target. That's what I want to see. Let's go and check crude because we still have the $49 crude. And again, it's, you know, it came up to the $49 area. It's coming back to the ATR now. Not too worried about this one. The magenta peak identified that it was going to move back. Okay. And so far the volume is not that great. As long as that volume bar stays short like it is with this coming down to the 20 line, It's going to give you hidden divergence, which is going to push it back up. Now, this is reading these bars really, really early. Okay. This is the way it stands right now. That's going to give you hidden divergence. You would need a reversal bar before you say, hey, this is really going to work in my direction. Okay. If this closes to the upside, that would give you the confirmation that you need. Oh, yeah, it's going above 49 because you would have hidden divergence there. A little bit early right now. On the euro dollar, we are at 50. So when you're short on the binary, it can be at 50 as long as it's not 51. It's that last little digit where it says 53.1, 52.9. It's that last digit that determines whether you make money or not. Nadex calls it the point of precision. So in this case, it would need to be 1150 exactly. This is, we have an order sitting, I believe, at 10. Yeah. In this one, we've actually made more than 100% on that trade. Yeah, let's see where it's at. There we go. I would like to see that continue down. I don't want to see this offering support for price. It has not given me my profit target yet, but we have been able to capture 100% on this one. About the only reason I entered this one was to recoup the loss on the gold. Would like to see it pop down just a little bit more. And this is not one I'll probably stay with until the end of the expiration because it's 45 more minutes almost. I'm going to cover the loss on gold now. Okay, it didn't get me out. Let's try this again. There we go. So that negates the gold trade because it was at full loss, and I don't like taking full losses. And I think that's it for today. This one on crude, I'm just going to let it ride right now. I'm not going to try to manage that one. That one at 2:30 this afternoon, if this is above, 49, you made money on it. And you should get some more upward movement on that. Just my personal opinion. So, any questions today, guys? I did record the video, so if you want to go back and watch the video later today, you can. We had some really good trades. Maybe 6 to 8 trades in the video, I think. Some were losing, some were winners. But I guarantee you, when you average it out, you would be up for the day with the trades that I took today. And it just goes to show you, you're not always going to have winning trades. Yeah, it's Tuesday, October 4th, and I'll put that on the blog as well. I'm sorry, Larry. Now, I do have it on the blog where the date and the time that I post is now on the blog. So if there's any questions about it, you can look back and see it. Any other questions this morning? If not, thank you all for joining me. I appreciate you spending your morning with me. And I will see you next week, same place, same time. Thanks, Juan.